After a good night rest, we were surprised to wake up to some Pacific Northwest weather. Heavy fog made for a nostalgic experience as we packed up. This was the type of weather we thought we have experienced in the Pacific Northwest. However, we were fortunate to have almost perfect sunny weather for the past few days. The heavy fog made for a surreal experience as it was the perfect backdrop against the many green trees. From our campground, we would drive for another 7 hours, making our way from the east side through central Oregon and finally making it to the coast. This drive is by no means boring. We would constantly see many different towns and landscape as we passed through. Sometimes it's not just the destination, but the journey that makes it memorable. This drive was up there with the many drives we've taken so far on this road trip when it comes to sightseeing. It's so different from the landscape of SoCal, where we would see more desert landscape. Here, we were captivated with how green the surrounding landscape was. After a few hours, we finally hit the coast of Oregon. From there, we would continue along the Pacific Coast Highway to our next destination, Samuel H. Boardman State Park. This state park reminds us so much of the one freeway in California. The rugged landscape, blue water, and sandy beach made for a much-needed change of scenery. We would constantly want to pull over and see the many different islands that peek up along the coast. However, there was one area we wanted to go and see. From the coastline, we pulled over and did a small hike down to the natural bridge. It's definitely exploring right now. Oh my god. Ow! That's so sharp.
You got your machete, man.
I know. I got my stretchy machete. This hike is definitely a bit precarious as we made our way through the thick overgrown shrubs and fern. Just be careful and wear some comfortable hiking shoes as it's pretty steep going down. From the left side of the natural bridge, you can climb up its ridge and make your way onto the actual bridge. It's definitely an adventure and can be quite nerve-wracking climbing as you look down both sides of the bridge. Just be extremely careful going over this area.
Totally not dangerous coming here.
Between the bridge.
Didn't almost die.
From the bridge, you can continue going right and eventually connects to the other side of the trail. I highly recommend going to the right side of the trail if you just want a picture of the bridge. We were blown away at the sight of the natural bridge on this side. The turquoise color of the water and the green surrounding made for a picture-perfect experience. After spending a few hours there, we found a great little place to have dinner before heading to our campground. We would pull up into our campground a bit past 9 p.m., tired and ready for some much-needed rest. In the morning, we would love to check out our campground a bit. However, we had another busy day of exploring the northern coast of California. We would slowly make our way south, hugging against the California coast and making our way through the many redwoods along its path. We were keen to go see the Fern Canyon Trail in Golden Bluff Beach. Since it's Sunday, everyone was out taking advantage of the near-perfect weather for a beautiful hike. It's pretty amazing to see that in California, we were still able to see such green surroundings. It made us feel like we were in a tropical rainforest. The hike was pretty easy with not a lot of elevation gain. We would continue hiking along the river and make our way up the step into the forest above. From there, the surroundings changed completely. We would constantly look up to see the many trees that shade us from the sun above. It took us around 2 hours to complete the loop of Fern Canyon trailhead. From there, we will continue our trip heading back onto the 101 freeway and slowly making our way into one of the most magical drives we've taken, Avenue of the Giants. From the 101 freeway, we would exit and take Avenue of the Giants highway, driving along the many magical redwoods standing over hundreds of feet. By far, this was one of the most magical experiences we had. It feels like we were sent back in time when trees were towering over us. We eventually found a small grove of redwoods standing by itself. We will take advantage of this opportunity to take pictures and do a little bit of exploring. I highly recommend coming to this area to see and experience this for yourself. Words cannot describe how magical this area is. After a few hours of driving through this magical area, we would connect back onto the 101 heading south into our final campground. We stopped by a nearby Thai restaurant to get some much needed food. We will make our way into our campground late once again, just enough time to set up for the night and have a small fire before calling it a night. The next morning, we packed up and slowly made our way back home. It would take us another 8 hours before coming back to SoCal. We were greeted with smoke from the many fires nearby. It's hard to put into word what we experienced on this 3,000-mile road trip. Hard to imagine the many hours going into planning this, and it's finally over. However, looking back, we no doubt feel so grateful for this experience. It taught us that it doesn't take much to have an experience like this. You just need some planning and a good group of friends to make this happen. Also taught us not to let fear of the unknown take over, but just take that first step in anything you do. And sometimes the journey is worth more than the destination. Thank you once again for joining us on these last few days of a journey in the Pacific Northwest. Please like, comment, and share this video with anyone you know that might be thinking of going to the Pacific Northwest anytime soon. Also, please subscribe to our channel to keep up with us on our outdoor activities. Until next time, stay safe.